Hello, everybody. Let's go to Summit 1A. I guess last session we studied this part, and we are on page 8. There's a listening part. Listen for main ideas. Listen and write the problem discussed. And while you are listening, you should say that if she is right, if it is true, you can take the answer T. If it is wrong, F. And if there is not discussed, you can write ND. Let's listen.
Page 8. Listen for main ideas. Exercise B. Listen. Write the problem discussed in each conversation. Conversation 1.
Crime is just out of control. You can't pick up a newspaper without there being 4 or 5 crime stories on the first page.
In my opinion,
So they are talking about news and crime.
all this crime is a symptom of the whole breakdown in culture. What is the world coming to?
Well, there's not a whole lot anyone can do about crime, is there?
Actually, there is something we can do about crime.
You think so?
Absolutely.
So she thinks there is not a lot of news paper article about it. It is true. He thinks there is nothing anyone can do about crime.
Should provide more money for local police, and we should be careful not to tempt criminals. Don't wear a lot of jewelry on the street. Better safe than sorry.
That's true. You're so practical.
Thank you. Conversation 2.
Have you been reading about that Marburg virus?
You bet I have. I'm checking the news sites like 100 times a day to see what's happening. I think I'm getting a little obsessed. I just can't stop thinking about it.
Well, I don't think that's crazy. It is pretty horrendous. Thousands of people are already sick, and they say it's even more contagious than the flu or Ebola.
So she thinks breathing air on planes can be dangerous.
However, there is some good news. I've heard they're working on a vaccine, and that there might be one next year.
Well, that's good. But you couldn't get me to get on a plane right now. You're just a sitting duck if someone with Marburg gets on. The ventilation systems of planes recirculate the air, and then everyone breathes it in. Very scary.
Conversation 3.
I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little freaked out about terrorism. I mean, I'm really scared. Every single day, some new group pops up. You never know where they're gonna strike.
True. These attacks are happening everywhere now.
Yeah, what is going on with this world? It's crazy.
Right. But what are you going to do about it? It's just part of life these days.
That's one way to look at it. But I feel it's gotten so bad that I don't like to be in crowded places. I keep thinking something bad is gonna happen, like a bombing.
Well, that's no way to live. I think you just got to keep living and hope for the best. It is what it is.
You're probably right. I guess I'm going a little overboard.
For example, in this part, she thinks terrorism is caused by poverty. Actually, it was false. So, and he was worried about this part. It was true. Read the question, listen again, and complete the exercise. Conversation 1. When the woman says crime is just out of control, it means, for example, there is a huge amount of crime and it's out of control. We cannot control it. For number 2, when the man says what is the world crime coming to, what is the world coming to, it means where in the world can we go to avoid crime, or what is in the future of the world this way. When he says better safe than sorry, it means just stay home where it is safe. B is the answer. Okay. And let's see this part. For example, in number 4, when the man says, I think I'm getting a little obese, it means I'm thinking about this too much. A. When she says, well, I don't think that's crazy, he's right to be worried. This disease is it means he's right to be worried. When the woman said it's even more contagious, it means it's epidemic kind of disease. It can be start from one person to another and continue. You answer the questions in this part, take a photo and send it. Answer the questions, explain your answer. What does the man think can do about the crime? You see, we have it on this part, so I played it for you once. Let's listen again.
Page 8. Page 8.
While you are listening, please answer the questions. Let's listen.
Listen for main ideas. Exercise B. Listen. Write the problem discussed in each conversation. Conversation 1.
Crime is just out of control. You can't pick up a newspaper without there being 4 or 5 crime stories on the first page.
In my opinion, all this crime is a symptom of the whole breakdown in culture. What is the world coming to?
Well, there's not a whole lot anyone can do about crime, is there?
Actually, there is something we can do about crime.
You think so?
Absolutely. We should provide more money for local police, and we should be careful not to tempt criminals. Don't wear a lot of jewelry on the street. Better safe than sorry.
That's true. You're so practical.
Thank you.
So, why does the woman think he is practical? And which speaker outlook is closer to you? Which one do you think has the best point of view? Woman or the man? Explain it.
Conversation 2.
Have you been reading about that Marburg virus?
You bet I have. I'm checking the news sites like 100 times a day to see what's happening. I think I'm getting a little obsessed. I just can't stop thinking about it.
Well, I don't think that's crazy. It is pretty horrendous. Thousands of people are already sick, and they say it's even more contagious than the flu or Ebola. However, there is some good news. I've heard they're working on a vaccine, and that there might be one next year.
That's good. But you couldn't get me to get on a plane right now. You're just a sitting duck if someone with Marburg gets on. The ventilation systems of planes recirculate the air, and then everyone breathes it in. Very scary.
Conversation 3.
I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little freaked out about terrorism. I mean, I'm really scared. Every single day, some new group pops up. You never know where they're going to strike.
True. These attacks are happening everywhere now.
Yeah, what is going on with this world? It's crazy.
Right. But what are you going to do about it? It's just part of life these days.
That's one way to look at it. But I feel it's gotten so bad that I don't like to be in crowded places. I keep thinking something bad is going to happen, like a bombing.
Well, that's no way to live. I think you just got to keep living and hope for the best. It is what it is.
You're probably right. I guess I'm going a little overboard.
Okay. Write a list of world problems that you are worried about, or use the ideas in the picture. You see, for example, war, drug trafficking, global warming, public sanitation, or political corruption. Which one of them makes you worry? I worry that we won't have enough medicine and lots of people will die. For example, drug trafficking. This is the problem. Select one of them and write your idea about it. Let's go to reading. Read a newspaper article which is based on true story in the news. What was Phil Cooper mistake? Let's listen to this part. Then we are going to answer the questions in this part. Let's listen. Let me find it.
Page 10. Reading. Exercise B. Read the newspaper article, which is based on a true story in the news. What was Phil Cooper's mistake?
Facebook saves the day. Weston. In a painful ending to an otherwise glorious vacation, Phil and Virginia Cooper and their daughters, Miranda and Grace, arrived home without the hundreds of vacation snapshots they had taken. "We'll always have our memories," said Phil, "but no pictures of our family's activities, or the beautiful New England scenery and Cape Cod beaches, where we spent the last 2 weeks of our summer vacation." "Phil has always been a little absent-minded, but this takes the cake," Virginia said with an affectionate smile. We were getting settled in the car for the long drive home, and Phil got out to snap one last picture of the sunset. Then he set the camera on the roof of the car while he got his jacket out of the trunk. Needless to say, the camera fell off the car as they drove off. The family discovered the camera was missing when they got home. Then, Phil suddenly remembered placing the camera on the top of the car. I felt terrible for having been so careless, and was sure the situation was hopeless. Days had passed. The camera would have been lying on the ground through bad weather, or perhaps someone had found it and taken it home, Phil said. The camera case had the Cooper's name and address, but the camera hadn't been in the case. Last weekend, while training for an Ironman triathlon event, Adam Seacrest, 24, spotted the camera along the side of Calman Road near Barton Beach, Massachusetts. He picked it up, looked for a name, and finding none, stashed it in his car, thinking he would try to locate the owner after his run. Once home, Seacrest turned on the camera and scrolled through the photos. "I felt sort of like a snoop, but my spying was purposeful," he said. "I was looking for clues to the owner's identity, and I was optimistic that I would find something." Soon he came across a photo of 2 young girls getting on a yellow school bus with the words Weston, New Jersey on the side. In a burst of creative thinking, Seacrest thought someone might recognize the girls, so he posted the photo on Facebook and urged his friends to share it with this message: "Do you know these kids from Weston, New Jersey? I found a camera with this photo in Barton, Massachusetts, and want to locate the owner. Please share." Facebook friends shared the photo hundreds of times. It was just a matter of time until it appeared on the Weston community page, and someone recognized Miranda and Grace and called Virginia Cooper, who contacted Seacrest first through Facebook and then by phone. The camera arrived at the Cooper's house by mail yesterday. "Lots of people say social media is a meaningless waste of time, but here's an example of how powerful and useful it can be," said Seacrest.
Okay, there is nothing worse than losing one's vacation's memories. Which one is the best main idea? Creative thinking can help problems. Being a forgetful person can cause lots of problems. Which one of them do you think is the best title and topic for this text? Locate these adjectives and expressions in the article and classify them based on positive and negative. Absent-minded, it means a person who doesn't think carefully, is negative. Affectionate, a person who is helpful, shows feeling. It can be both positive and negative. Hopeless, negative. Purposeful, positive. Meaningless, negative. Powerful, positive, and useful is positive. Let's listen to this part. Adjective suffixes full or less. Expand your vocabulary by learning these adjectives from the reading on page 10. And suffixes full meaning with and less without. So we have the meaning full. It means, for example, a person who is careful, pays attention very much, and careless. It means without care. It means a person who doesn't pay attention. Okay, let's listen. And you should write one sentence for each of them. For example, make sentence with careful and make sentence with careless. Let's listen.
Page 11. Word study. Adjective suffixes full and less. Exercise F. Listen and repeat.
Careful. Careless.
Hopeful. Hopeless.
Meaningful. Meaningful.
useful.
Useless.
Okay, the following pairs of words are impossible equivalent. With a partner, discuss the difference in the meaning. For example, restful and restless. We had a very restful vacation and didn't do so much. I was so restless last night. For example, restful means a person is something which is comfortable, relaxing. Restless means a stressful thing. Helpful, a person who helps other. Helpless, for example, people who needs help. Pitiful, a person who is compassionate, helps others. And pitiless means the person who doesn't help others and annoys them. In this part, should brainstorm, and Adam goal was to find camera's owner, write with a partner, brainstorm and write creative ways to achieve goals. For example, to collect money for a good cause. What comes to your mind? How can you help other people, for example, in a charity, to locate an organ donor for a sick person? You see, these are some goals. What is your idea? Which one do you prefer to do or be helpful in order, to find someone to help them? Choose one of these goals. In a small group, discuss ways to achieve it. It's based on your idea. For example, not everyone wants to donate a lot of money, so it's important to keep a positive attitude. If everyone gives a little or donates time to help, we can still reach our goal. So select one of them and explain your idea. And in this part, we have topic sentence, supporting sentence, and conclusion. You see, a topic sentence, a sentence which comes at the beginning of a paragraph and introduce what comes inside it. Supporting sentences, the sentences which are here in the body of the paragraph and explain the topic of the sentence. And concluding sentences are in the last part of a paragraph. For example, they start with in summary. You tell the gist of the idea that you studied in the paragraph. The sentences below form a paragraph, but they are not into the order. Write T next to the topic sentence, S to supporting sentence, C for concluding sentence. For example, she took a night shift job so she didn't have to work much. Since they were very intelligent, some figured out how to work less. This is a supporting idea, or this is a supporting idea. Very intelligent people, this is a supporting idea, and this can be a topic sentence. Maybe we are going to start a sentence. Very intelligent people or brains are sometimes lazy people. This can be a topic sentence. You want to continue a paragraph. I had a friend who has a member of Mensa, an organization for people who are really smart. This can be a supporting idea for number 3. To sum up, this is a concluding idea, and she could read novels most of the night and still get a paycheck. This is a supporting idea. In this part, you should read the paragraphs and underline the topic sentence. For example, this one is topic sentence and this one is topic sentence. This one is concluding sentence and this one is concluding sentence. The sentences in the middle are supporting sentences. You can make them and show them. There is a listening part. Listen to people talking about their reaction to events of the news. Decide if each speaker is optimist, pessimist, or realist. And let's listen.
Page 13. Exercise A. Listen to the people talking about their reactions to events in the news. Decide if each speaker is an optimist, a pessimist, or a realist. Speaker 1.
Last night I turned on the news. I wish I hadn't. I can't get over everything that's happening in the world right now. Seems like every time you turn around, you hear about another war, natural disaster, poverty, terrorism. It's really depressing, and it's just getting worse. In fact, it makes me want to just give up watching the news altogether. I mean, who needs more reasons to get depressed?
So, is he optimist, pessimist, or realist? For example, you have got in this part now read the news. Okay, let's go.
Speaker 2.
On my way into work this morning, I heard this report on the radio. They said the economy is not doing very well. And you can't help noticing that everything just keeps getting more expensive. Food, gas, housing. Of course, all this bad news makes me a little nervous. I've cut down a lot on my spending. I've stopped buying lunch every day at the office, and I've put off buying a new car until next year. But to be honest, I'm not stressing out over it. I mean, things may get better, and if not, well, I'll get by.
You see, life is she's so realistic, and life is full of hard times and bad things happen. So there is very little that we can do about it. She talks. Suzanne is talking about number two, and she is more realistic.
Speaker 3.
I read in the paper today that the unemployment rate is rising. A lot of people I know have lost their jobs over the last couple of years. In fact, both of my sons lost their jobs in the same week. But I think it'll work out in the end. My younger son will have time to go back to school and finish his degree, something he's always wanted to do. And my older son, well, I'm sure opportunity will come his way. When one door closes, another one always opens.
So this is the last one who is really optimist. And you see, math is in this part. It's important to see a problem in both changes, challenges, and difficulties, and even you should see the opportunities for success. So he's so optimist and math. Said about this, you can write math here. Complete each description in your own words. An easygoing person is a person who you can explain who is an easygoing person. A person who tries to solve the problems and get not angry or upset when there is a problem. They try to solve the problems, troubleshooting the problems. An outgoing person is a person who wants to have lots of friends, talk to them, communicate with lots of friends. Reliable person and helpful person. You can fill in the blanks for this. Complete each conversation with one of the words that describe the behavior in page 6. So you should take a look at page 6 and complete this part. For example, looks like I have to work overtime again tonight. My boss just gave me 3 projects to complete by the end of the day. You're kidding? He sounds like a real tyrant, for example, or workaholic. You complete this part based on the information on page 6. You can take photo and send it. Complete each sentence with one of the adjectives from the word on page 11. So we should turn back to page 11. You see in this page. Page 11. Restful, restless, helpful, helpless, pitiful, pitiless. Excellent dental anesthesia today makes almost people all dental treatment, for example, restful. Sometimes you feel completely, there's just nothing we can do, make something happen. Sometimes we feel completely restless and stressful. The internet can be very in helping in communicating with large number of people. For example, the internet can be very pitiful, helpful. I'm about the future. I think things will change for the better. Optimist. I'm optimistic or optimist. Some say the colors of painting create a more impression than black and white of a pencil or more. For example, restful impression, comfortable kind of impression. Okay, that's enough for today. Have a nice time.